Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa, here with another radiant co-host. Listen, we believe in mindset is the key to transforming your life, your career, and your relationships. Today's guest is someone who embodies what it means to redefine success on your own terms. And boy, listen, I love these boss babes. She is a transformational life coach who guides high-achieving women to discover inner peace, confidence, and purpose. Oh, y'all know how I love to talk about these things. She does it in both their personal and professional lives. After spending over a decade in executive roles working with Fortune 500 brands, she stepped away from the corporate world to embrace her true calling, coaching and mentoring. Now she helps women overcome self-doubt, silence negative self-talk, and transform anxiety into calm to build stronger relationships. Please help me welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the incredible Zerina Derveni. Zerina, I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the show. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited for our conversation today. So, the intro was amazing, so thank you. I am a life coach, and I do coach high-achieving women, and I help them both in personal development or professional development. And really, they're interconnected. That's why I kind of kept it open to both. And I think my main goal when I transitioned out of the corporate world was really to focus on life, and it's why I became a life coach. It's that significance area where, life in general, the quality of your life is more important than, your identity or your profession.
Mm.
So that's what I do, and I've been so fortunate to work with great clients where we've transformed their lives. And it's been, honestly, from my end as a coach, it's been so rewarding to see breakthroughs happen. I personally went through my own journey, and after, a specific time when I was noticing, your my patterns picking up, my same patterns, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled, I stopped and I said, "That's it. I got to make a change." And that's when I transitioned into becoming a life coach. And I remember thinking, I cannot wait to transform the lives of other women who have felt
Mhm.
stuck or lost, similar to me. And here I am now, and I'm so excited to continue my journey as a life coach and meet incredible women.
I love that. And a lot of coaches I know, some people say, I'm a business coach, I'm a strategist. Like I say, I'm a life and business strategist. And the reason why I became a life coach as well, outside of being a career coach and a leadership executive coach, I needed to go through the disciplines of life coaching because there is no business. We are a whole being, number one, but I
Yeah.
cannot help you work through business strategy if yourself, your person is not in alignment with who you are first, right? And so I love when I talk to individuals like yourself who has done all this corporate work and impacted very well. There's nothing wrong with it. But in this chapter of your life, you find yourself helping yourself, bringing yourself first back to the simple, most basic essence of your being, which is not to be underestimated at all. It's where you're most powerful, is my belief. And then into the ascension. And then now you do that and you work with people to bring themselves back to that. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about your corporate journey just a little bit. Tell us what you did. Where did you find yourself that caused you to pivot your own life into something different, which now,
hmm
of course, we know to be life coaching and working with high achieving women?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I first started my corporate journey, I, like most millennials, went to school, got a couple degrees, right? Not just one, but
Hmm.
two or three. I don't even remember. And then started, thinking getting a corporate job is the way to success, right? The traditional route. So, again, like most millennials, I started working. And I remember when I first started, I was very grateful. But I remember thinking, I can't do this forever, right? Like there was this time period in my head, subconsciously knowing that there was going to be something greater out there, but I didn't know what that was. I was too young. And I do believe the experience is what shapes me. So there is significance to experience, right?
Hmm.
Just because we have a thought doesn't mean we need to, validate it right away. There is beauty in experiencing things and learning, right? So I went
Right.
through that journey. My first corporate job, I did really well. I was advancing, and then I was doing so well that I actually got recruited by another company and decided to move and was just on this path to corporate success. And I
Hmm.
remember being in that second job, I think year 2, thinking, "I can't do this forever. Like, something's gotta change." So, I think I stayed with that intuitive or instinct feeling for a while until I transitioned into another job. So, every 2, 3 years, I was moving jobs thinking it was going to give me this fulfillment, when really,
Hmm.
you know, there was nothing wrong with the positions I had. They were very respectful positions. I worked with great colleagues. Like, I didn't really have anything wrong, but maybe me. I was kind of the common denominator where not that something was wrong, but something felt off, right? So, my third company that I worked for, it was my favorite. And that feeling came back, and I was like, no, like this has to stop. I cannot keep repeating the same patterns. Like, I need to do something about it. And I went a route which I wouldn't recommend, but I went a route where I actually isolated myself to figure it out. So
Hmm.
I started listening to a bunch of coaches. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar for 6 days to just get inspired, really. And before all of this, by the way, before I even started my first corporate job, I had done Miss Universe Canada, and I did it, and the only reason why I'm bringing it up, I'm not a pageant girl, it was a great experience, but I did
I
it
love it.
because I felt this connection to having a platform for women. I just did not know what that really was, right?
Right.
And I didn't at that time feel comfortable having a platform just because I was in a pageant. Like there had to be more substance for me at least. So
Hmm.
I kinda like, did it and kinda shied away and just went really serious and corporate. But there was
Hmm.
that calling that just felt so good. I just didn't really know what to do with it. And I didn't have at that time an idea of how I could even like live off, having a platform with women. Like it didn't make sense. So
Right.
yeah.
Talking to me right here because that whole thing is just it's only 5 years old. I realize people get paid to speak, people get paid to coach. I'm like, I've been coaching my whole life. What do you mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought I would bring that up because there is significance to that, inner voice. But yeah,
Yeah.
I started listening to coaches. Went to a Tony Robbins seminar. And then one evening, I went to bed. It was like 9 p.m. And I was like, I want to be a life coach. And in my gut, like it expanded. That feeling got so excited. And it wasn't just, I want to be a life coach. I'm like, I have so many lessons I want to teach. I have so many good like resources that I've personally gone through myself and would love to share with women. And I sat on that for 6 months. I mean, I had a very executive role. It wasn't an easy, just, I'm going to quit my job. Sat on it for 6 months to make sure it was something I really wanted to do. And after 6 months, I very much have still felt in my gut that expansion feeling. And then I went ahead the next 6 months and got certified and started working on things and officially left the corporate world. And first time in my life, completely invested in myself.
Love it. And there's nothing no matter how much it is, and I think a lot of people think about investing in themselves, they think about money or even sometimes time. It's the quality of the investment that is matched to what your soul longs for. So, for example, if you feel called, like you felt called so long ago to
Mhm.
be on a platform that empowers women, uplift women. And the only thing you had in your sphere at the time was maybe pageantry. So you thought, maybe this is it where I can let my voice be heard and stand there as a woman who, coming from your background and everything, it meant something. That's what I look at all the women who are on the pageant when they're representing their country, they're representing the women, the culture, and so many things standing there, but that's what you had. So where your mind could go with it. And as
Mhm.
you continue the search and exploration, the investment look like go to a Tony Robbins conference, find out what else there is, read this book, listen to this podcast. So at each stage of the journey, it's you giving everything because you can't. I tell people you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
cannot make decisions above your knowledge and, what's your bandwidth. So over time that just increased because you keep asking what else is there? What else is there? And then finally it meant more money. It means investing more money. It meant investing more time, getting certified. And so the meaning increased and voila, here you are, right? And so if anybody is listening, especially women, because studies show that we will do more of what's best for community. I think we're just naturally wired that way. And when I say community, that could be family, children, all those things. Nothing's wrong with you. You're just created that way. But in
Right.
order to bring what's truly inside of you, you have to flip the script of what is our default nature as women, understanding that when your cup is filled, right? When your passion, desire is filled, now you're able to pour more into the other things that you care about, which I call community, your husband, your kids, the other women and all that stuff. So I love that you shared that with us because I feel like women need to understand that you are the greatest chance, opportunity, breakthrough that you're waiting for. It's you saying yes to yourself.
It's so true. Yeah. And I often heard this, like, you need to save yourself. No one's gonna save you, right? And I heard it a lot and I wouldn't
Now, not
really,
at
yeah,
once,
I
but
wouldn't really like I wouldn't really think of it as deep as I do now, where really you
mhm,
have to be the one
it's
that
necessary.
saves yourself and
Mhm,
gets you to where you need to be. And I do meet a lot of women, and when we're talking privately, they're like, "Oh, I really want to leave corporate. Like, how did you do it? Like, what can I do?" And I always remind people everyone's journey is different, right? You don't need to take extreme transitions in life. That's not everyone's journey. However,
mhm,
what I do like to always remind women is you get to clarity by actually experiencing and putting yourself out there and
mm,
exploring. You do
mm,
not, and I'm going to repeat myself, you do not get to clarity by thought or thinking. So
yes, manifestation.
all the overthinkers, stop thinking, get out there, explore, and that's how you get to clarity. And it's a journey that's different for everybody. And I still to this day, I will celebrate the small wins because that's actually so impactful. And every time I'm like exploring and getting to something that again I feel like I'm extracting in my gut. Like it feels good. It feels exciting. Even if there's fear, that's a good learning opportunity to know, okay, I'm closer to more clarity. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's a journey and I love what you said about taking care of yourself first. You're a much better woman. You're much more in your even feminine essence when you're happier and more
Yes,
fulfilled.
yes, yes. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because as I get closer to really diving into leaving corporate and having my own full-fledged coaching practice that includes me and networking and having other coaches with me. I got clarity about who I want to coach this season. And it's for women who have the desire to transition from corporate into entrepreneurship, whether that looks like maybe coaching or speaking or consulting or a hairdressing salon, whatever their passion and purpose is. Because I feel like as a woman going through that transition, many a times I would connect with women who want the same, but
Mhm.
they're afraid, and I get it. Being challenged with, is it something reckless? So I believe there is a roadmap that you should create for yourself. And for each of us, like you said, it's going to look different. Some of us, it might just be cold turkey. Or maybe you just pushed, like I was laid off. I was laid off from corporate and I thought, wait a minute, I show up every day for this job that half of my soul doesn't get to express itself for only
Yeah.
this amount of money when I can coach someone and help them get a breakthrough and make twice as much. What's going on here? What is wrong with you, Alisa? Because if it's about money, that's if you're just thinking it in terms of money. But I
Right.
would be so rich. Man, I wish I could coach people for free, but I can't. But what I'm saying, it will bring me so much peace and joy. Number one, to control my own schedule. And not only to be able to coach, but have the freedom to be able to speak and do more podcasts and even do an in studio, all this wonderful
Be
stuff that's within me.
creative. Mhm.
Yes, right. Which is
Mhm.
where, as who I am and how I was created to be, that's what makes my soul happy. And I thought, you know what? How many women are out here right now? And I want to support them with what I've been able to do, Zerina, is for the last 5 years, I maintained a corporate position as a single woman, but ferociously built my space in the world where there's an audience, not just in podcasting, with my speaking and my coaching and my mentoring, my consulting, and even volunteering all at the same time. Not by incident, but strategically. But I was able to build that up for myself while I still own a corporate position in leadership and at least 12 hours dedicated to work per day, 5 days a week. I was able to carve that out. And it sounds for a lot of people that like, well, when do you get time to do that? Well, here's the thing. I have to work because the money. I took a pay cut to work in an industry that allowed me to be closer to coaching and counseling and mentoring and business strategy and workforce and getting people from, desire to being clear about their purpose and going into purpose driven work and things like that. Of course, that's one thing I was able to do in the corporate space. It cost me about $18,000 a year, but the money, I didn't feel it because I was closer to my purpose. But I want women to understand you don't have to leave corporate to start to
Mhm.
walk in your purpose until it becomes when it's a good time for you to say, that's it. So for me, here's the question I have for you, because one of the biggest struggle is what you said earlier. It's
Mhm.
what we call hesitation, but I call it hesitation is fear dressed up in a ball gown, a ball gown or a suit and tie. It's still fear, right?
Right.
So many women struggle with self-doubt and negative self-talk. What are some of those common signs that women might not even recognize in themselves, and how can they begin to process by reclaiming their confidence so maybe they do take that bold step like you and I did?
Mhm. Mhm. Well, here's what I'll have to say. Before you can even implement any tools or strategy, you need to understand that 95% of what goes on in our brain is in our subconscious. So
Mm,
there are beliefs, values, patterns, habits, all stored in our subconscious. So just imagine you could be operating from a mindset that maybe 10 years ago when you
mhm.
were a young woman, let's say in your 20s, you were operating from survival mode. Of course, you don't have experience and
Right.
your only close experience or maybe your parents who worked really hard because that generation was different. So you're probably still using belief systems, habits, a lot of what's going on in the mind, you're probably using from years ago and nothing's really been updated. Like the software in your
Mm,
brain has not been updated. So I think,
Yes.
again, before we make any changes, let's go back and try and understand what it is. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think at that time, I love that you said hesitation is fear, because fear is definitely the number one trigger where, people won't do things. Fear and ego,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Ego is another really big one. Probably
Yes. Yes.
worse than fear, but
Fear. Yeah. It's bigger. It's a big picture behind fear, in my opinion. Yeah.
yeah, so I definitely had fear. Now looking back, being in the moment, you could not tell me I had fear. I would not believed
Mm.
you because I was so confident in other areas. But now it was all performative, right? And that's one thing I love
Yeah.
corporate, because it does teach you discipline. It does teach you professionalism. It does teach you
Yes.
best practices, but it also teaches you to be in a performative state. So
Yes.
you start to lose a little bit of slowly your identity of who you really are as a
Yes.
person, right?
Yes.
But I definitely had fear. And now looking back, and I've done the work, and I mean like a couple of years, and I'm still doing the work. You never stop. But it took me a couple of years to really look into my own BS and see, you know, what was my belief system? What was my value system?
Yes.
Why was I thinking this? Oh my God, I had a lot of the good girl conditioning. And it's like,
Mm.
don't overdo it, be grateful, don't stand out too much, and don't there was all these belief systems that I had gathered through my environment, through my
Mm-hmm.
upbringing, through social media, like who knows, right? It's all stored in the
At the
subconscious.
point, yes, you just keep taking it in from the time you're in the cradle, and it somehow you think it's yours, but it's
You
really just
you don't
programmed.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend anybody to kind of just reflect and see what their current belief system is, what their current value system is, pick up on certain habits. And then from there, once you have an understanding, and obviously you can definitely go to a coach or a professional service individual to help you, then you can look at like what areas do you need to work on. If it is fear, we all have fear, right? But if it is
Yes.
fear, I say this in my coaching, and it's like I've given women permission that they feel like, oh, thank you. You need to explore in life. That doesn't mean whatever next decision you make, that's it. It's
Right.
explore,
It's
enjoy, figure
awesome.
it
Yeah.
out, enjoy
Yes.
life, right? So we don't need to figure things out right away. It's what is the next step? And when you can figure out the next step, then you're doing life right. It's not about figuring out the whole path, because unfortunately you can do that, but life is life, and life will bring up
Yeah.
things and reroute you. So I definitely encourage women to just figure out the next step, see if they can go and explore more before they integrate anything. But
Mm-hmm.
kind of bringing it all the way back, that awakening stage of I want more requires people to go to a unlearning stage, which I discussed, like unpacking the subconscious mind,
Yes.
figuring out new things will then let you go in this exploration stage where you can go out and just explore at your comfort level. And when you feel clear about something, and you'll know, no one needs to tell you, you'll feel it. There is an alignment, then you can integrate it into your life.
I love that. That is a very well built answer that is so authentic, so real, and so useful. So let's talk a little bit about something that you work with your clients with in your coaching program, and that's anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
It's like you see a woman, and if we're not aware, if we're not in awareness, anxiety and stress is coming right with us.
Yeah.
No matter how put together we are, because there's so much that society requires from women. And it just becomes what I've learned is the modern woman. It used to be that we were expected to be a really great wife, a really good mother, a good community helper, really good in whatever church or parish we belong to, be a great PTA person, also be a great daughter by helping to take care of our aging parents. If you're elder brother or sister, somehow a provider for even family members that should be grown and taking care of this to help them out when they're but now women since we've been able to be in the workforce and be working in construction, all the things, those things didn't change for us. We still got to hold these down, but now we're working on fighting all the coming up against all the barriers that have been set for us as we venture into this new way of working and doing and being. Anxiety and stress for me, it's only a matter of how aware are you as a woman and what degree are you at and how are you not coping but managing it to or ultimately, like you and I have learned, we've created tools. That's me feeling stress. Here's what I do. Women, I'm sure you're helping your women put a toolbox. Here's the question. Often this becomes a silent barrier for us living in fullness. You teach women how to transform anxiety into peace. What are some of those practical strategies that you can give to our listeners and viewers, especially the women listening, that they can use today to calm chaos?
Yeah, $1,000,000 question. So I'm a believer as a coach that if you are someone who's anxious, if you are someone who stresses, or if you are someone who's an overthinker, it is going to be something that you're going to deal with. Unfortunately, there is no turning it off. However, there is a possibility of working with it and having it work towards you. So let's deal with anxiety first, because I think this is a big one. And most of us women all have it. I have it and I still work through it. So anxiety is an alert system, right? And it's really just alerting you of maybe an uncertainty, a urgency,
Mm-hmm.
it's really just alerting you. Having the ability to understand when it gets triggered. So most of the times, right, it gets triggered during uncertain times. When
Yes.
it gets triggered during uncertain times, it starts to communicate with us. And it's then us taking that power and being able to acknowledge it, but then put it away in the sense of like not prioritizing that feeling, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to parent yourself in anxiety where you're
Yes.
understanding, okay, like I know myself now much better. There's a few areas where anxiety will pop up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, having worked with women both personally and professionally, you start to find that like professionally, anxiety doesn't really get to them as much. Like sure, from a skill level, performance level, they'll have a little bit,
Yes.
but on their
Yes.
personal life, it gets to them so much. And yeah, and I'm
Amazing.
honestly, I am one of those too. And you
Yeah,
know what?
I'm one of those too.
And you know why, Alyssa? It's interesting. At work or professionally, we're emotionally detached, right? So we're able
Yes.
to handle things because we're emotionally detached. No matter the outcome, we know we can like take the next step or we can do
We
whatever we
got
need to
this.
do. We
Yeah.
got it. But then in our personal lives, we are so emotionally attached and that's fear driven. That's anxiety driven.
Yes.
So it's finding a
Yes.
balance. It's finding a balance of how to heal that and how to work on
Mm-hmm.
that. Right. Or
Mm-hmm.
I have, for example, clients, personal life, perfect. There's nothing like I have to check in. Are you sure? Everything is great. I'm like,
We have
okay,
a
but they can't handle a difficult boss. They stay up all night. And I'm like, how? So it's been so interesting finding like gathering data and seeing why. And these are all high achieving women, right? But in certain areas,
yes.
they're more anxious than other areas. And it's this uncertainty and it's this emotional attachment. So, understanding the underlying reasons is a good path to then implementing tools and strategies.
I
A lot
agree.
of, so,
Ooh, I agree. Oh my goodness. It is all about that. And it's again, what I would follow up with that though, since I may be so great at handling my professional stuff and not be stressing about it, for me, it's kind of the opposite. I have become I'm really good at handling my personal life,
mhm,
but professionally, I still find that's where my struggle is, even though most people would not, they're like, what are you talking about? It's real for me because I would be that person who has some level of anxiety and stress over my professional relationships. It's like we were talking earlier, no harm done. You didn't even get upset with me or anything. But for some reason, we had a different schedule for your. And I was stressed over the fact that it didn't happen when it was supposed to happen. And there wasn't a way, like I missed your connection with me and all that. And I had a little bit of disturbance before I went to sleep that night. And knowing that it was going to be okay, I knew that, but I felt like I somehow failed in my professional connection with you on delivering as said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I question where that comes from. If it were, let's say my niece or nephew, where I had to reschedule with them. I'm like, hey, I can't come to your soccer game because I'm running over on an appointment with a client that really, really need me. I know that I'm going to go to their game. They have 3 or 4 games per week. I've made 3 out of 4. So something like, okay, well, but I just took a minute to let go of not doing that. What is that? What is that?
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you're sharing this because I'm sure there's so many listeners probably going through
Yes.
the same thing. Here's what I've figured out in my practice. So as women, we are so good at prioritizing tasks. We need
Mm,
to be much better at prioritizing our priorities. And
mm,
having worked in corporate, I've worked alongside great men and a lot of men. And that's one thing I always picked up on with them is they're really good at prioritizing their priorities. Whereas
tell me about
women, yeah, whereas women, we will prioritize our tasks. Here's what I'll say. Every day I've got 3 priorities. Okay. And it hasn't changed for a while. It could shift later if things change in my life. Priority number 1 is work, right?
that.
Priority number 2 is self-care.
Yes.
Priority number 3 is connection. If in my day, okay, if in my day I worked, I know what I need to do, I know the hours I need to put in, that's okay. And then self-care, I know I need to take care of myself, I need to eat right, I need to go to the gym or go for a walk, like it is a priority. Or if something comes up, let's say later in the evening, a friend calls me, my mother calls me, I want to go see somebody, I make room for it because it's in my priority. Anything
Yes.
outside of that, depending on what's going on in the day, that's out. Those are tasks. So you eliminate tasks, unnecessary
Mm,
tasks. You are not a yes woman to unnecessary tasks. You are a yes woman to your priorities. So having a clear understanding of what your priorities are every day will help eliminate some of this anxiety that you've built to think that you can do it all. Can you do it all? Yes. Check. It's in the head. Move forward. Like we don't want to do it all. We want to be effective and we want to
effective.
be present. And
Yes.
it's getting into that mindset more every day and and
The
and living it, right? It's living it. I very rarely now I can say no and not feel guilty because I know my priorities.
And your no is a yes to your priorities. It's a no for
Exactly.
someone, but it's a yes to you.
Yes.
And that's the shift that I've had to make in my life is understanding. I'm starting to say, what am I saying yes to? Because I'm always saying yes.
Mhm.
It's what I'm saying yes to. It might mean a no for my relationship with my friend,
Mhm.
to go out
Mhm.
to the mall with her. It's a no for her, but it's a yes for me because I'm coming to sit here and speak with Zerina today. That is what's a big yes for me. That's what keeps my life in harmony and in balance because doing this work is a priority. Like you said, is prioritizing my priorities. Going to the mall every weekend is not a priority for me. Might be
No.
for Jen, but well,
Hopefully,
and
Jen.
I'm giving listeners and viewers to the listeners. If you're not watching this episode, you might want to flip over to the YouTube channel and you got to see right here at about 35 minutes in where we're talking, when Zarina stepped into her mentorship and her coaching model where she's at ringside battling for us to shift our mindset from thinking we have to be task driven. She had a different look on our face. I know you heard it in our voice, but when you see her face, she spoke into my soul to let go of being task driven because I am a checklist person. So you read me right.
Yeah.
You read me and the rest of the women listening. I do have to-do list for Microsoft on my phone, and I write down before I go to bed all the things that I need to do, and I check them off, check them off, check them off. So yes, do I need to flip the script of my own mindset on being task driven and just focus on my priorities? Because that's
Exactly.
where my true wins are, and that's where harmony is for me. Thank you
There
so
you
much.
go. Yeah,
Thank you for
it took many years and it took observing men, right? And it took working with men at work. I remember I would go into some of these board meetings. I was usually the only female at that time. And
Mhm.
I would have a list, of course, right? I would be
Yes.
so prepared, of course. And these are all great skills, right? But we would go into the meeting, the script would flip, the priority would be something, and everybody's on board. And it's like, okay, cool, yeah, let's move forward. And I'm like, but wait, the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I have to say, working with them made me see like how life really works, right? In a
Because
sense
this
of
is
like,
a man's world. I'm sorry.
but honestly, in a way that I can almost respect that, like, focusing on your priority will get you results.
Makes yes.
And let's put energy there. Why are we wasting energy efficiency on things that don't convert to really results?
Here's the question I have for you. In that example, just kind of give us a little bit more insight. What kinds of things would be on your task list? And what were their priorities looking like? Because I am one that absolutely co-signs learning from men,
Hmm.
not because they're better than us, but because they're different. Their psyche is different from female.
Right.
But my job is to learn from anyone or anything or any scenario or situation that helps me do what? Be more productive. So
Right.
in this case, it's men. A lot of things, like someone said to me in my profession in the corporate world said, one thing about Elisa, she's very practical and realistic. And she was asking, how did you become like that? I said, well, I watched men for so long
Hmm. Hmm.
and all the emotions are good. Feel them and deal with them, but do it very quickly. Because one thing I learned from men is that they think before they feel. And if you use your thinking brain, you're going to make better decisions than if you use your feeling brain. And
Right.
not that they separate, but just an
Oh, it's
analogy.
true. It's so true. Right. Right. It's
So
so
my
true.
feelings are like, oh my God, why did she be like that? Oh my God, is she mad at me? That's my feelings. So
Hmm.
feelings, hello, thanks for coming by, but you got to leave now. Thinking
Yeah.
brain is I'm in this decision in this situation, and what do I do to pivot safely and get the desired outcome?
Hmm.
Men do it on autopilot. For a woman, we have to practice it. Most of us do. Some of us are wired naturally to do it. But we
Right.
might be wired naturally because we spent more time with our dad and our brothers. We might be the only girl in our family, so it's natural for us. But for most women, it's not. So tell us what was on your task list and what was
Yeah.
on their task list and how that went down. We want to know. Some women are still getting the picture.
Right. So, I mean, I think for me, when we would come up with a decision, in whatever business I was in to work towards, or let's say we were working on a strategy or a goal, I would do well, like again on my own terms, right? Where based on what my position was, I would do the research. I would look at things. I was the one like kind of like making sure to get the team set up for success, and was doing a lot of the back end work and research. So where we would get together, it was more so like, all right, like this is the reality of things. This is what's happening in the news today. This is what we're doing. So a lot of that work I was preparing for, it wasn't relevant anymore because they were just continuing to move forward and focus on what the priority was, whether it be like, I don't know, I'm going to say like revenue or timing. So their ability to focus on priorities and adapt, right? There
Yeah.
is this adaptability with no emotion was very powerful because we did get results, right? And that's the key here. When you focus on priorities, you do get results and you're not
Yeah.
locked down or tied down to things because you're not thinking about tasks. Like you're not like I'm not thinking, "Oh, you know what? Like I just put 10 hours of research in there. I got to see it through." Right? I'm thinking, you know what? Today's a different day. This is what's happening right now. This is what's going to resonate better with people. I'm going to go with that. Doesn't matter what I did before, right? So when you're task oriented, you almost feel this sense of obligation to write, pull it through and make sure you see it go
Yes.
through versus if
Yes.
you're priority focused, right? And results focused, you're going to shift, adapt, you're going to kind of like leave some energy for adaptability,
Yes.
innovation, right? So I think there is this understanding that yes, it's really good to be prepared and do your research. I don't want to take that away from
Yeah.
this, but I think the energy efficiency, the default energy efficiency should be spent on your priorities and not on your tasks.
Absolutely. And we spent a good 10 to 12 minutes on this because I believe this is where a lot of us women get stuck. And I'm sure that you can co sign that with me. A lot of us are powerhouses in areas of our life, but we find ourselves stuck. And I believe, because here's the thing, I also believe, and I'm going to pivot there because you do some work with your women in romantic relationships as well. It's the reason why a lot of us are dating this guy that doesn't, for whatever reason, but we're looking at, well, I've been with him for the last 3 years, but girl,
Yeah.
you're just there. Truly, you're screaming to get out.
Yeah.
Truly, you want to be out, but because you're tried to the task of seeing it through, because maybe everyone expects you all to marry and have these beautiful children with curly hair, or whatever the story is that you've made up and the images
Mhm.
you have, you're not letting go. And it's like you said, I have structured entire coaching programs. Like, I thought that this season I was going to focus more on career coaching because that's what I've been really great at. I can wake me up in the middle of the night and I'll help you break through in your career. But I realized I don't want to coach people on how to keep a job that might be crushing their souls and doesn't help them live to the fullest expression of themselves. And I
Yeah.
am telling you right now, I've invested hours and months and days and weeks in the past couple of years carving out a system, and it's going to see the light of day. I've created something called ShiftWorks. I believe there are people who are going to come and they're going to use it in different parts of the world, but I ain't going to be the one doing it. Maybe that's not, it doesn't sing for me. It doesn't speak to me. And so
Yeah.
I will quickly, when this has only happened like 2 weeks ago, where I was like, this season, it's not career coaching. You've done your bid.
Yeah.
It is. And so my practice is going to be focused on people connecting with what they truly value, what they truly believe, what they believe they're called to do in this season in their life, and finding a way to express it to their fullest. Whether it's in a 9 to 5 role, doesn't matter. Whether it's entrepreneurship or creative work or creative arts, what I want to do is help them figure out how to start now, not put it off, how to start now, only because tomorrow is not promised and you waiting for perfect is just, again, hesitation, dress hesitation, which is truly fear, which is just a whole spiraling activity. Just
Right.
look at it early. And I just wrote it yesterday in my article on LinkedIn. Clarity comes in the moving. Clarity comes in the doing. Clarity does not come because you had this perfect plan. So stop sitting there and wasting time. And those are the people who struggle to move. Come, let me give you a punch in the gut so you can go.
Oh my
With
god.
clarity, I believe that for women, that's where it gets stuck. So let's move into this other piece that you work with women on. You work deeply on relationships, romantic partnerships, family, even work relationships. In your view, what are the keys to better communication and deeper connection in these relationships?
So I have come to understand that if you, as a human being, whether
Hmm.
you're a woman, whether you're a man, if you are able to communicate your needs effectively, you have succeeded in life much further than any type of money or milestone that you'll ever achieve. Mm, It is so powerful.
Well, I'm crazy with my orchestra brain saying yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, no, it is so, so powerful to be able to communicate your needs. Now, obviously, it's so easy to say that, right?
Right.
Right
Takes
now,
work.
it takes work. It takes work to understand what your needs are truly because the subconscious brain also holds a lot of experiences that might not be yours, but you've somehow, included it in your life. So it
Hmm.
takes a lot of work to really understand you as a person, what your needs are, what your values are, and really hold that to you dearly, right? Like I have, for example, like 3 non-negotiables, no matter what it is a no, right?
Yeah.
Because I've done the work. I have my value system, and it's not about being fixed. It's about knowing yourself and knowing yourself to a point that's realistically and you're still being humble, right? So picking
Right.
3 important emotional needs, for example, that's a
Yes.
very good start. So bringing it back to relationships, I love the idea of relationships. I mean, I almost even went into relationship coaching, but I'm so
Yeah.
obsessed with life and a life
But
strategist.
you still, because you are doing life, you have to do relationships. Because
Exactly.
what else is there to do? There's no life without interconnectivity and relationships. So you're still getting to do it. And that's why I chose life, because I did not want to choose relationship. I choose life and career, but more life, because if I get clarity on that, then it's just a matter of mapping it out, what you want to do for career and or business. So I get that. Totally get
Mhm.
that. But you
Yeah.
have to do relationships.
Yeah, you have to. So, I mean, again, going back to like one of the biggest lessons that I think anyone could really do for themselves, that's a huge success factor, is knowing what their needs are, right? And being able to communicate it effectively. But the communication part, now here's what I really focus on when it comes to, establishing good relationships and connection. It's moving away from IQ to EQ, so focusing a lot on emotional intelligence. Like, I'll give you an example. So, if you're in a disagreement or an argument with your boyfriend, as a woman, most of us are intelligent. We know exactly what to say to win the argument. Like,
You know, what button to push and what ones not to touch if based on what results we're looking for in the moment, right?
exactly. So you can easily be right. I have no worry at all with any of the
Yes.
women out there that are arguing. I know I trust you to be right. But it's like, what do you really win out of it? So this is where I'm like, okay, you're in your IQ, right? Let's step out of it. Let's go into emotional intelligence. And this is what emotional intelligence looks like in an argument. Hey, for me, it was really upsetting that this has happened. I feel like this. It's really important for me that we feel connected and that we're there for each other. Oh, what do you feel like? Is there anything that you think we can do to help us overcome this argument? And it's getting into those types of conversations because you're being not only vulnerable, you're operating still from a form of self-respect by being able to communicate your needs
Mhm.
and leaving room for somebody to then come forward and,
Yes.
provide a solution maybe or bring in their own understanding of things. So that's the emotional intelligence part, is being able to manage your emotions, being able to
Yes.
understand your emotions, and also being able to understand the emotions of others. So then you can really, come to a place of more connection. And
Yes.
I actually find if you do relationships this way, and let's say you're in a relationship that does not work for you, it is so easy to let go when you operate from a place of emotional intelligence. It's when you
Yes.
operate from a place of intelligence and play games and, do a little bit of the
Is it for manipulation?
manipulation. Those are really hard to let go because you're not really operating from a place of putting yourself out there and vulnerable and trying to see if a relationship can really work out.
Right.
So it's a lot, call it emotional maturity work because that's what it is. And it's focusing on our emotional intelligence. And it is the one form of intelligence that actually can be taught. So usually IQ you're born with and you just obviously continue to work with it as you,
We have that sixth sense, as we say as women as well. So that adds to
yeah.
IQ.
Absolutely, but it's literally operating from a place of emotional intelligence where you, again, I have to stress this, you express your needs and you express your emotions as a form of self-respect, right? And you give opportunities. for, overcoming challenges or for things to heal. Because it's during challenges that I think really tells you the quality of the relationship you have. It's not during good times, but you
Yeah.
allow the space for that to either heal and strengthen, or you figure out, okay, this is obviously, we value different things and it's not going to work long term, but you're making decisions honestly from a place of emotional maturity where it's so much easier to get out of it and let go and then move forward and find something that can match your energy more. So I'm a huge component of emotional intelligence. I teach it a lot in the relationships. It's also in the workplace. I mean, I personally used it so much in my corporate world, and it only strengthened my relationship with executives I worked with and clients.
Hmm. Wow. Question, I'm curious just to hear what your thoughts are, because when I was more focused on doing business coaching with women a few years ago, many of them felt stuck in their career. They felt a sense of burnout, a sense of desiring more. And when we worked more, we tried to work through that. Within by the fourth session, we were dealing with life stuff. And this is why I was like, all right, I know, so I have life things, I tools, but I want to understand, want to have a proper firm research study based modality for life coaching. And that's when I went and did my master life coaching certification to help support me with them. But what I found is that somehow a lack of some level of burnout in their romantic relationship or lack thereof, maybe they weren't in a relationship and they desired one, or they were in a more of a toxic type dynamic some sort with their significant other. What we found is that a lot what a lot of the childhood things that hadn't healed, this relationship was reflecting. And so now it kind of just trickled down like that, and now it was showing up in their career and their professional life. So they came to me for professional coaching, but we
Right.
had all this stuff that we're going back to, which by way we end up in the relationship era. And now we're looking at life. Who am I? Identity work,
Mhm.
purpose work, and all that stuff. How many people do you work with, and you find what kind of numbers do you see, and how that all interacts and affects a woman?
Most of them, honestly, most of them, we have that childhood wound, right? I call it
Mhm.
the wound because,
Yes.
trauma is it's hard when someone has childhood trauma, and I would recommend they see a therapist. But if you've got a wound, that's where like really coaches are good because they can obviously see what that wound is if you have
Yes.
further conversations. And then based on what attachment style you have, usually that's related to the wound, you can advise, how they can maybe work on it and move forward. 50% of the adult population are in a secure attachment style. I
Yes.
think I think it's 25% are avoidant, 20% are anxious, and 5% are anxious avoidant. Knowing knowing that 50% of the world's populations are dealing with some sort of childhood wound gives you a good
Yes.
understanding that, there are gonna be, um, some challenges to relationships, and I think starting with your childhood wound, knowing your attachment style, knowing your triggers is important because it can come out personally or professionally if
Yes.
it's not healed, right? And a lot of the
Yes.
healing you have to do on your own. And as a
Hmm.
coach, I can see pretty quick if someone is anxious or if someone is avoidant or if someone is both. I can pick up on that pretty quick based on the work that I've done and research. And it's something that you need to bring up, right? It's important. And I usually say this to some of my clients and it like rings like, Zerina, I still hear your voice, but it's a it's confrontation is a
Hmm.
conversation. That's all it is, right? It's that's all it is. It's just a conversation. And
Hmm.
how do we have that conversation? Well, first we need to understand what we want to say. So it's taking a step back. It's getting in a observant mindset rather than absorbing, right?
Right.
Absorbing. So it's being able to observe, understand. back to my point earlier, if you can understand what your needs are, you are literally killing it in life. But it's so important to be able to communicate your needs. And then from there, obviously, allow things to unfold naturally. But you've done your part. And when you've done your part, you are much more relaxed, you are
Mm-hmm.
clear, and you can move forward and attract the energy that you are yourself putting out there, right? But I do get in most of the, honestly, probably most of the conversations, even some of my very conservative clients,
Yes.
we get into conversations about childhood wound, and I have to be able as a life coach to see their reality, see their blind spots and reflect it back in such a compassionate way. And we start talking about things, and unfortunately for women, and this happens with a lot of women who do it all,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because I admire the effort so much. But then on
Yeah.
the other side, I have to ask, hey, are you really living your true self-worth if you're doing it all and doing it for everyone? Because I don't think you are, you know? And it's having
Obviously,
that
they're not happy.
conversation.
They're
Yeah,
not
and it's
fulfilled. I mean, happiness is a state of mind, but the fulfillment is lacking. It's why they're here with you.
yeah, right? And it's hard though because it's a hard conversation to have. Like self-worth is so important to us high achievers. Nobody can tell
Yes.
us, you know, it's that's an issue. But when you are doing so much tasks, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, are you really honoring your self-worth right now? Like, truly? And that's when they start to get that energy like, okay, that's it. Like, no, like, I am not, you know, I'm not
Not.
going to be doing these old patterns anymore. I got to shift. I got to change. And a lot of times, I've been through this personally. Every time I've gone through a burnout, it's because I was in this long-term period of performative state, performing, doing things, external validation, you know? It was never from a place of internal alignment I got burned out.
Internal alignment. And I love that because if you talk about the internal locus of control, the external locus of control, and all that. But I love the word alignment because you can't if your car if one of your wheels are offline, you're gonna have problems and you're gonna have a flat tire sooner or later.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
burnout, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you're that's what your body and soul is trying to get your attention to. And a lot of us women, I just came on it and I started to research it. I saw it a clip on social media that was talking about how I think 80% of women will suffer with an autoimmune disease because we
Yes.
suppress our true desires. And that's why you're saying to us over and over, know what it is that's important to you. Know what it is that you truly desire. Know what it is that you call in the non-negotiables, which is what I call them, so that you can communicate that. Because
Yes.
that is where the fear, the should what I'm trying to scare women straight with is that you can actually get really sick,
Yeah. It's so true.
medically ill
Yeah.
by suppressing all this stuff, all your goodness, right? And just focusing on winning and having these tasks done and making sure everyone around you is okay. And then you're the one curled up with Hashimoto's, all these different avoidable
Mhm.
autoimmune diseases. Look it up. I didn't make this up. This is the latest research. And how did I know? Because ladies and gentlemen, I suffered an autoimmune disease, and the way I manage it was not only through diet and exercise and balancing my stress and all that stuff. It's literally staying in alignment with where and what my soul desires to do. So, Alisa, do you want to go to the football game? I want to spend time with Zerina, but I don't want to go to no damn football stadium today. I want to go to the backyard and have a nice glass of wine and put on a thing on the projector. That's what I want to do. And guess what, guys? If Zarina decides she want to go to the game, I'm not going to be mad at her. Go, call Jen. I am so fulfilled. I'm not waiting for someone to come over and do this with me. I will put that projector up myself in the backyard and I will pour me a glass of wine and I will shake it and I will put my gonna laugh and I'm gonna watch my movie and I'll be so happy. There was a time in my life, Zerina, where that would be the most insane thing to do. What do you mean you're
Yeah.
gonna go to the backyard and watch a movie by yourself and drink wine? What do you mean you're gonna go to a club and dance to cha-cha slide by
Yeah.
yourself? You're not gonna, you gotta call someone. Those were my beliefs. And so I was not living my life. I was waiting on people for permission. And
Mhm.
I was also waiting for or doing things just because that's what we do. We go to
Mhm.
church on Sundays. Well, I don't want to go to church this Sunday. The first time I told my mother, she looked at me like I was still living with my mom. I think I was like 17, 18. And my mom was like hell you won't. You going to church. Who forces people to praise God anyway? And I remember that, but I had to go because I lived in her house. And so when I became an adult, if I didn't feel like going, I didn't go. And I remember calling the pastor because I go all the time because I want to go. And then I said, hey, I don't want to go. And she threw a fit. And that's when I decided I ain't going back to church. Because how
Mhm.
can you throw a fit when I tell you I just need a break away from you and all them people over there? So
Yeah.
I was in this back and forth. Nobody did it better than me when it comes to looking for the external. And it didn't seem that way because for all intents and purposes, I felt like I was fulfilled. But what was that silent, that quiet howlness inside though? What was
Yeah.
that desire? There's got to be more than this. Why does it seem so mundane? I
Mhm.
just, it was that. It was me not listening to myself. I didn't know. I didn't choose. In
Yeah.
full accountability, I did not choose to listen to my own voice within. And I always talk about that dis-ease in my mind cause disease in my body. And that's what we're talking about. So honor yourself. Ooh, Zerina girl, you did the things of the things
That
today.
is so powerful. Yeah. And, you just, I love the examples that you shared because when you're going through the unlearning phase and the exploration phase, right? Once you've been awoken, you're awakened. I have to say this because I see this all the time with my clients. The moment we want to start putting in values and standards and boundaries, right? Because we're listening to ourselves. We know ourselves better than anybody
Yes.
and know that the environment is going to see a changed a shift person, so automatically human nature, bring back emotional intelligence, they're not going to like it, so don't expect to think people are
Exactly.
going to be like, oh, that's great
No,
for you,
Zerina,
Alyssa. No.
exactly. They'll be
you
like,
know
we don't like you very much. Who are
yes.
you?
Yes. And expect it, and that's when you're clear, the noise is just the noise. You see the vision clearly. So don't worry about that.
I, y'all can
Focus.
see me. I'm going,
Yeah. Exactly. You got to focus on what's good for you and stay on that path. And that's when you build resilience. And that's when you honor yourself and your body and your health, right?
yes,
Like the moment we put in boundaries, I say it's funny. It's not really funny because I've done this too, but it's the human experience. I'll have a client say, this happened and she said this and he said that. And I'm like, okay, but did you put in the boundary? Yes, that's it. You stick to it. And when somebody doesn't like it, you withdraw energetically. You're still
yes,
graceful because that's who you are as a character. You
right.
withdraw. And people
Yeah.
eventually will pick up that that is your boundary and that is your consistent behavior. And then they will respect it. But you got to put the time in and understand people will have to go process things their own way too, right?
Yes,
You focus
yes,
on your path. So it is really, you brought up the health related to women's stress. It is so true, by the way. It is so, so true. And I think if we don't start honoring ourselves from a form of self-respect and taking care of ourselves, it could very much so lead to health issues in the future. And good luck reworking that, right? When you
it's
still have,
hard. Because you're left with it. While you might become awakened, as you said, I love that word. Now your body is done crossed over the line of now I have this illness that I have to manage. Well, I can tell you, do yourself the favor and not have to manage an illness that you can
yeah,
almost avoid. I'm telling you, go look it up, go research it. You can most likely avoid the illness when you get right with yourself.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Get right. Get it right. I mean, J-Lo said, get it right. Well, I'm saying get right with yourself. Forget everybody else. Because those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. And some of them will mind for a while, and then they'll come right back. Like Zerina said, just keep doing you, boo. Once you do you, and you do what you're responsible for, everything else falls in place. And then you get to sit there and think to yourself, what a wonderful world. When crazy stuff is happening, you're still at peace because you're at peace with you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a mastery. Once you get there, and Alyssa, right? Once you get to this stage, and we're just learning, okay?
We are. We're still practicing this, right?
I've spoken to women who have inspired me, and I can't wait to get to my
To get to that
50s.
level, right?
Yeah, right? Or 40s, and yeah, exactly. And you once you get to this level, you see and you look back and you think, and I'm going to use this word again, you think, wow, all that energy, your energy efficiency was spent on your
Yes,
tasks, on things
yes,
that were not good for you, good
right.
for others, but like really it puts into perspective of how important it is to have that conversation with yourself and have that mindset
Yes.
shift. Because once you get to the stage where we're at and we're continuing to go,
It
you
all makes
don't
sense.
go back. Yeah, you
You
don't
don't.
want to
You
ever
would
go back.
never. It is one of those things I could say. I haven't seen anyone who ever goes back once they
Yeah.
experience this level of limit, this breakthrough. And it's funny, Serena, as we're talking, Serena, I had this image in my head. Like we're sitting here, I call them success keys, right? We're sitting here dropping success keys, right? We're giving you, it's like life gives you a big bunch of like 150 keys, right? But here comes Alisa and Zerina, and we're like, Jen, the key, this one that has K on it, the only key on the bunch that has K is the one you go turn and unlock the door. But here you are. Okay. You didn't even listen. You didn't
I
hear
know.
us. Or you heard us, but you stopped and got ice cream. Then you went and you went and had a spa day. And now you show up at the door and you're over here taking all the different keys and you're trying all of them. Why do that? We just give you the cheat code, right?
I know.
This is why I'm telling you guys, the biggest cheat code in life is having a coach or a mentor that aligns with where you want to go. So you're listening to Zerina today. And again, I always tell you guys, the guest doesn't come on the show telling me that they want to offer you anything. I'm the one who is saying, because when you're listening to a conversation and you're hearing someone saying something over and over again and it's alignment with what you desire and they're exemplifying a place you want to go, that is already your mentor in that moment. Like she's giving you mentorship right now because you're here now. But how about you continue that relationship and go deeper with her so you can really get the work done? And again, like, they talk about time travel. This is how you, life's time travel is big time. If you don't believe in all the other supernatural metaphysics stuff, you can time travel by having the right mentor. So if you're hearing her, you might be called to work with her to get through those things, whether it's an ongoing coaching or it's a strategy session that you pay for here. It doesn't matter. Just reach out, right? I'm saying that way earlier. We're almost there, but I'm saying that way early because you have to understand, I didn't have anyone in my life like me or Zarina.
Yeah.
Everybody was just saying, pray to God. They were just telling me things that have been said for years and they meant well, but I didn't have tools. But I didn't take that as you know what, that's it. I kept looking. My growth mindset, I would say that's one thing I know for sure my mom gave me, is to be curious about what else is there? What else is there? And she told me, you can be anything you wanted to be, which is the US Army use it, be all that you can be and sign up to be in the Army. Well, she said, you can be anything you want to be, but you just have to know what that is and go after it and let nothing stop you. And so I wanted to be a better human. I wanted what my great grandmother did. I wanted to do that. times 100 and leave an even bigger, more beautiful legacy for the next generation of women in my family. And so that desire just kept going, and then it turned into whatever, just like Zerina went and she was Miss Universe Canada. And she did that and she's like, okay, this in it. Okay. But there's more. And she kept digging. That's it. That curiosity. But having the cheat code of a mentor or a coach that has done the damn thing and break through to that next level that you want to get at, that's it. That's time travel. All right, Zerina, flip the script. We got to ask you. This is one of my favorite parts of the show where we call it flip the script. It's where we ask you to share with us a moment when you had to completely shift your own mindset to move forward. Tell us, what was that time? What was the mindset shift? And how did it change the outcome?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to use one that was very impactful. It was a relationship. I'm sure like all of us, right? We
Yes.
all have that relationship where we know it's not good for us, but we're sticking for potential. I think
Mm,
that's probably as realistic as I can put it. And
yes.
love is the one area. It doesn't matter how smart you are, who you are, what you have, we all struggle with. So, yeah, it
It
is.
puts a
I
whole
know.
big blinder on you. You can't see nothing.
But I do want to share this because I think it's important, especially if there are women listening that are high achievers.
Uh-huh.
I had put myself in a situation for a couple of years too long where I was, investing in a relationship with someone who was emotionally unavailable.
Mm,
And at that time, I thought I was, doing good by being loyal and trying and, all these good girl conditioning behaviors that we're taught to be. And after, of course, I left that relationship, but after reflecting on it a couple of years later, I
mhm.
realized how I was emotionally unavailable because I was attracting emotionally unavailable men. The awakening, yes, there was this awakening where it's for me very important to be all about accountability, right? I think we can easily in relationships get in these victim roles and
Yeah.
it's
Or who did
all
this?
about accountability, right? Is why was I attracting this? Why was I putting up with this?
Yes.
And I had to do a lot of work then. And, I was a great worker. I was a great friend. I was a great daughter. I was a great everything. But maybe I had to do some work on the relationship part to attract a healthier relationship. And I came to that conclusion myself. I wish I had a shortcut and had maybe spoken to a relationship coach earlier and saved some of the energy. But it was definitely an eye opener. And I think be mindful of what you're attracting because you could be subconsciously reflecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, again, a lot of high achieving women will attract the emotionally
Emotional ability.
unavailable or avoidant. If there is this
Yes.
chemistry that works, but it's not healthy.
Yes.
And there are two types of relationships that you typically get into that are the most impactful for you. You've got the karmic and then you've got the soulful one. There's a lot of
Yes.
karmic relationships out there. Just know if it's karmic, be mindful of it so you don't feel that the connection is soulful. It is there to teach you a lesson. You learn that lesson and then you
It
walk
has an
away.
end. Yes, it has an end.
Yeah.
Mm,
And you look
girl.
for the soulful one. So hopefully that's something personal. I don't typically share it, but I think it's really important because there is a connection to high achieving women and us,
Yes.
unfortunately, attracting emotionally unavailable men.
I have to I'm going to say 100%. And we so honor you for giving us the opportunity to hear you say that. And I will co sign with her and say, in my own level of vulnerability here, that is something I have done. Even though I didn't have a lot of relationships, but I see it and I honor that because that's the work that I've had to do. Because what I learned and putting together what we've been talking about, the task thing, when I said we do this in our romantic life, because hey, I've been attached to investing all this time with this guy and I don't fail at anything. As a high
Right.
achiever woman, we don't fail at anything. That's just how we are. We win. No matter what, we will overcome this. So we look at this unavailable guy and think somehow or the other, if we do all these things, we're going to win. We're going to win them. We're going to bring them over to the light because they're on the dark side. They're closed-hearted. They're closed-minded. They're emotionally unavailable. So because we have all this light, we have enough light to lend them ours. But all you're doing is draining your batteries. And so, like you said, you got to know when it's time to end it because
Right.
it's there to teach you a lesson that is supposed to bring you to another level of yourself. What I have done in the past is hold on to it way longer than I was supposed to. And
Yeah.
that's where the damage came. And so I believe it's still even as we speak, I am still very, how should I say, I hold myself at accountability to ensure that I am, while it may not look like the last relationship, that I'm not putting up with a level of emotional detachment, toxicity. And is
Mhm.
this relationship truly soulful? And is it headed in the right direction, not based on potential, but what is already existing? And if it's
I
not,
love
it's not
that.
a lesson. If it's not, it's not a lesson. And no matter how much we got all these pluses, you gotta let it go, Lise. We have negotiated prior to this negotiation with this individual that we will not. When this is not there for this amount of time, repeatedly and inconsistency, it's a no. I'm
Yeah.
not available for it. So I have to check out because let's face it, the thing you said that was just so powerful, Zerina, you said that we are attracting these emotional unavailable men because we are not emotionally available ourselves. And I was
Yeah.
like, dang, because I cannot tell you. I had this conversation just 2 weeks ago with my mom and my sister was saying, but I never could understood why you married him. He
Yeah.
was showing you all this stuff. And you just gave me the answer to that question because I mean, all these years, right? It's been 9 years since our separation and divorce, but you still can learn from so much. As a matter of fact, a lot of what you've done in the past, as you go through life, it gives you breakthroughs for your present and for your future. So I allow myself to keep learning from that scenario. What you just taught me is that I was emotionally unavailable. Girl, at 17, I started my own business.
Yeah.
And then I was doing volunteer work with the government of Guyana for education, writing policy for early childhood education, which
Wow.
they didn't have.
Yeah.
Doing that, girl, I was busy and I was fulfilled. So whatever he had going on, it was good to have and I told someone this, I said, people don't understand. It worked for me to have a long distance relationship and not to have a guy in my face every day trying to take me out. Because I was busy
Mhm.
doing what I love. I was conquering the world and serving people. But again, that's where that checklist, task driven oriented girl that did not check to see, well, am I still connected to this mission? Or am I
Yeah.
just hanging on to this mission? And I did that in the relationship. So when all that toxicity was looking at me and I was being dishonored, I didn't let go. I still wanted to win that one too. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's face it. I'm asking, I'm saying he was selfish, but guess who else was selfish?
Yeah.
My selfishness looked different
Yeah.
from his. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't creep around, but I was busy fulfilling my call or whatever it is, serving the people, serving the nation. So it was the same thing, just in a different way. So yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen that are listening, we have served. Zarina has served. And I didn't have to go alone. Like a good sister, I had to come in here and be vulnerable right alongside with her and saying, just listen to you and honor your voice and take care of you. Because that's all you can really do. You can't fix other people.
Oh,
So
I second that 100%. That's beautifully said.
I have to ask you, after all that you have accomplished and all that you continue to do in the world, what does success mean to you now?
It honestly means building a life I do not want to escape from. That
Mm,
is success for me. I am still building it. Very much so want to build a family and have children. So I think that's one area I'm focusing on right now in my life. Career, I've never been more fulfilled. My circle is small, but it is so beautiful. And I have people who are so protective of me, which is very important. And I worked through so many years to get an environment where I can, finally feel so confident in. So I am really building this life that honestly I don't want to escape from. And I put
Yeah.
in 14-hour days at work, by the way, sometimes because I have right
Me
now the
too.
capacity,
Yes.
but it
Yes.
makes me so happy. And I take good care of myself, also a priority self care, and have really good people around me. Yeah, I don't want to escape my life. I love my life. I love all the good and the hardships. So I think that to me really is success.
Yes, that creates the harmony. Oh, I love that. I'm listening to you. I said, is creating a life that I don't want to escape from. I love that. I love that is a powerful quote. This is mindset advice to go. We give you the 90 seconds to I step away from the microphone and the camera to give you an opportunity to speak to our listeners and viewers on a life tip that you would love to give them a mindset bite so they can have that in their pocket and pull it out and use it anytime I step away. Here we go.
All right. So I would have to say a powerful mindset strategy that you can do and you can implement it right away is get to a mindset where you're observing versus absorbing. So what you want to do is you want to be calm. You want to observe visually. You want to listen to actually listen. You don't want to listen to respond. And while you're observing, you can then process the situation in a way where you're just calm, you're collective, you're not anxious, and you can choose to respond whenever. And again, this observe versus absorb is a mindset hack that will help you so much in your professional and your personal life.
So powerful. So powerful. Thank you so much, Zerina. Zerina, it has been such a rich and empowering conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your strategies with us. For those who want to connect with you, can you tell us what is your favorite way to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, Alyssa, I've really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so much. And for anyone out there that wants to reach out, have a conversation, or looking for coaching, I can be reached at www.zerinalifecoach.com. So that is the best way to reach out to me. There's a contact section and you can fill in basically some areas that you're looking to maybe talk to me about. So that's one on Instagram, Zerina Life Coach. I do share some hacks there. So it's always good to kind of like, if you're looking to just even, follow me or not necessarily looking for services, but there are a lot of science based and just being a woman. And I will share some stuff there that I use in my coaching, which is always nice.
Absolutely. You guys heard it. And as you know, we don't fail to put it in the description wherever you're listening and watching this episode. ZerinaLifeCoach.com is there. And, social media is such a great, simple way as thought leaders and coaches. We do share a lot of our tips. So it's always a good place to start. So just go follow her at Zerina Life Coach on Instagram. That's you're going to get a lot of stuff from her there. Thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, I just want to remind you, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do become. I'm Dr. Alisa, your number one mindset disruptor, with my co-host today, Zerina Derveni, saying we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.